The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Acuma, its board of directors, its management staff, or its members. The podcast discussion presented is conversational in nature and for general information only.
This is Acuma's On Point Podcast. On today's episode, we're discussing several compliance topics ranging from fair housing to ECOA, and then we might wrap up with some RESPA. You're not going to want to miss this episode. Before we get to our episode, just a quick word from our sponsor.
Rocket Pro helps credit unions grow their mortgage business at zero cost by delivering a member-focused, fully white-labeled mortgage experience. Rocket Pro integrates seamlessly with your brand, team, and existing channels, strengthening member relationships while driving acquisition and retention. Built specifically for financial institutions, the scalable platform delivers a modern digital lending experience without disrupting core systems, while credit unions retain full ownership of their people, data, and processes. Powered by secure, compliance-first AI, Rocket Pro streamlines workflows, reduces origination costs, and improves efficiency, helping credit unions better serve members today.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Acuma's On Point Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Benjamin. This is the third episode of our new format where we focus on real-world issues impacting credit unions right now. But don't worry, as always, I keep saying it, we will continue to have conversations with people making a positive impact in our industry. And as always, we'll continue to have a little fun. Today, I am joined by Michael Christians, Regulatory Compliance Counsel with Michael Christians Consulting, LLC. Michael, my friend, how are you doing today?
I am doing excellent. How are you, Mr. Benjamin?
Hey, Mr. Benjamin's my father.
Yeah.
I'm just PB.
PB.
But I'm good. I'm good. Listen, I'm good because admittedly, I've been looking forward to this episode, since we kind of made this transition to, this new format where we build in, more, technical or more relevant topics that our industry is facing. And the reason was because one, I think we over here at Acuma love you and we appreciate everything that you do for the association and our members. But you were literally, I'm not joking around, the first person we thought of and really the idea behind, well, we need to have something more compliance focused. We need to start making that natural transition to something a little bit more technical. And you were literally the first person that we thought of. So although you're not the first episode in this new and improved On Point podcast, you were the first person we thought about. And so we're excited to have you here. Compliance is, I hate to say one of my favorite topics, but it kind of sort of is. Looking forward to it, man.
You'd be one of the few, but I'm good. I'm glad to hear it.
Hey, listen, I think, compliance is interesting, right? And I know we have to keep moving forward, but the reason why I think compliance is one of my favorite topics is because there's always a right way and a wrong way to do it, right?
Yep.
The wrong way is very defined. The right way, I've always found it's a massive scale. Like, when you're doing something wrong.
Sure.
But you can get creative to get something right. So I like being creative. I might be wrong. I know the attorney in you is probably saying, shut up, Peter, shut up. But I've always enjoyed learning about compliance.
I think there's a little truth to what you said because, excuse me, we hear so often that compliance as a function is designed to tell you No. And I don't necessarily agree with that. To your point, compliance can draw a line in the sand and say, you absolutely cannot do that. But what the compliance function within the credit union does not do or should not do is tell you you have to do it this way. Because as you said, while there is one defined way to do something wrong, there may be 7 ways to do something right. And every credit union is different. And so this concept of compliance is, how do we accomplish what our business model is designed to do to service our members, to service our borrowers, and do it in a way that keeps us out of trouble?
Right. I mean, that's exactly it, right? And I love the way you framed that up and made my silly point sound so much more eloquent and intelligent. So thank you very much for that. Now, we have 3 topics that I think are fantastic, very relevant for what our members are facing right now. But as always, I have to pause. We have to bring Justin into the conversation. And well, anyways, I'll stop talking. We gotta bring Justin in. Justin, what is the latest happening over at Acuma and Hawk? How are you doing today?
Good, Peter. How are you?
Hey,
are you tired still? I mean, we did just get back from Dallas last week.
I'm bloody exhausted.
That's a fun way to say an F word. Okay.
Hey, man. Does that mean that we're explicit here in the United States or just in?
I don't know.
See,
that's a good question.
I'm gonna throw you a curveball on that one, but no. Listen, I'm really tired. We've been nonstop in a good way. But I'm looking forward to the future of the association. I'm looking forward to the future of our events. But it's okay to be tired every once in a while.
Exactly. No, so we did just get back from Dallas, and if you missed it, then you probably missed Peter doing the hokey pokey in a corner somewhere. No, Peter,
turn myself around.
There you go. I love it. All right. So if you missed out on our Viewpoint Regional Summit in Dallas, don't worry. In a couple weeks, we're going to be heading to St. Louis, Missouri. So that event's going to be April 14th and 15th. That's going to be the next installment of our Viewpoint Regional Summit. So be sure to come out and see us. We're going to be in St. Louis, Missouri. It's going to be a great time. After that, we're going to round out our summit series by heading to Baltimore, Maryland. Be more. I forgot. We got to get the Baltimore. Is that how they say it?
Baltimore.
There you go. All right. That's going to be happening April 28th and 29th. So there's still plenty of time to register for both of those events. So if you are local to those areas, or if you're within a short distance and looking for some free education for our credit union QSO members, this is a great event that you don't want to miss out on. After that, we're going to be heading out for our Focal Point workshop. Registration is open on that already. We're going to be in San Diego, May 12th and 13th. 2 days of learning and networking. Again, don't want to miss these. The workshops are, Peter always says they are the thing that he fell in love with the organization. And so come out and see why.
True.
Hey, Justin, St. Louis is not that far a drive for me. Are there any guarantees of BB doing the hokey pokey again? Because I may have to make a trip.
St. Louis is going to be held at a brewery.
Yeah, you get enough beers in me, you never know.
Yeah, then it's almost definitely going to happen.
Yeah. These are good. We're gonna not only be holding the summit at a brewery, but the experience is you get to go on the Anheuser-Busch brewery tour and
private tasting.
Tasting and all that kind of good stuff. So could he end up doing a hokey pokey in a corner again? I mean, that's definitely possible.
I'm more concerned with me trying to ride a Clydesdale than dancing in a corner somewhere.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to know how he got banned from ever buying Budweiser, that's how.
Have you ever seen a Clydesdale in real life?
No.
They are massive.
They had one at a local radio show here a few months ago, though, and I was going to go because it's
It
literally
wasn't a
down
few
the road
months
from
ago. It
my
was like a
house.
year ago.
You know, tomato.
We're talking about the E in the morning, right?
Yeah, that one.
It was a year ago. Was
that a whole year ago?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Well, aside from the Clydesdale, Peter trying to ride that, doing the hokey pokey and all that kind of good stuff, we also have our network meetings. So stay tuned for those. YPN is coming up, and volume base will be coming up in the month of May. So be on the lookout for that. For all this and other great information, head over to the Acuma website to get registered and learn more.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, Michael, coming back to you. As I teed up, in my soft intro, we have a few things to discuss. Fair housing, ECOA, RESPA. Do you just want to start at the top with fair housing and the everything that's happening over with that amazing act?
Yeah. So here's what's interesting. If you've been paying attention, you see that back in January, HUD issued a proposed rule in which they said we're going to eliminate disparate impact liability from the Fair Housing Act. So let's talk about that for a minute. This disparate impact liability, there are generally, when we think about fair lending, there are generally three recognized theories of discrimination, okay? Number one is overt discrimination. That's just plain as day. Anyone can recognize it. Member walks in, your loan officer says, we don't take applications from somebody that was born outside of the United States, so don't bother applying, okay? You all know you can't do that, right? Theory number two, which is still very much alive across the fair lending spectrum, is disparate treatment. And here, you've essentially got two similarly situated applicants or borrowers. And what I mean by similarly situated is similar credit score, similar job time, similar income, whatever the case may be. But you put those two folks side by side, and one of them is paying a higher interest rate or higher closing cost or whatever. And you got to ask yourself, why? Why is that person being treated differently? And is it potentially from a discriminatory perspective? Okay. So those two pretty solid. Now, since the Trump administration took over, 13 months ago now, there's been a big push to get rid of the third theory of discrimination, and that is disparate impact. Now, disparate impact is defined as when the credit union's got a uniform policy or practice, they apply it the same across the board to everybody. But for whatever reason, that policy or practice ends up having a discriminatory impact on a member of a protected classification. So, real quick example here. Let's say your credit union says, you know what? We've looked at our overhead. We've looked at our compliance costs. We've looked at our servicing costs. And we lose money if we make a first mortgage for less than $50,000. So we're just not going to be in that business. No matter who you are, where you're from, you're not going to get a mortgage loan from us for less than $50,000. Well, that sounds innocent enough. But now, let's take that one step further. Let's say that you've got an area of your credit union's lending territory where the median housing price is below $50,000. And let's say that same area has a high population of a certain protected classification, whether that be based on race, gender, ethnicity, whatever. Your seemingly sterile policy, if you will, is having a disparate impact on members of a protected classification, right? So there's this push to get rid of disparate impact. So HUD comes out in January, says, you know what? We're going to eliminate disparate impact liability from the Fair Housing Act. Well, that's interesting because, Peter, you probably remember this. You've been in the business long enough. Back in 2015, there was a case out of Texas, went all the way to the Supreme Court. It was Texas Department of Housing versus, I believe it was Inclusive Communities Project. Doesn't matter. Long story short is this. The Supreme Court said that disparate impact liability does in fact exist under the Fair Housing Act. So I think that's important for us to bring up in this conversation, because regardless of what HUD does with their rulemaking, from the executive perspective, the administrative perspective, if you will, that's fine. But the legal risk is still there and it's going nowhere.
So 2 questions, come out of this.
Yeah.
I guess the first question kind of deals with what you just mentioned. SCOTUS has already ruled that disparate impact does exist. Within the current administration, and even I guess the current and future Supreme Court, is there, and again, we might be going down a rabbit hole for this, and I apologize. Is there ever a chance that they could change their ruling?
Sure. And I think that's a good point, right? Because we just saw Chevron deference, which has been basically the law of the land for 40 some years.
Yep.
Where the Supreme Court said, back in 1981 or whatever it was,
81.
That courts should defer to federal agencies. Well, I think it was Loper Bright was the name of the case in this current Supreme Court. They said, nope, courts don't have to defer to anybody. So, yeah, you're absolutely right that this court potentially, which of course has changed since 2015, could hear this matter again and say, nope, the 2015 court got it wrong. That being said, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, I think, in the context of ECOA when we get there, but it's important for us in this fair lending discussion to remember that there's 3 different types of risk. And compliance risk, if you will, is probably the smallest of the 3. And legal risk and reputation risk being significantly more problematic.
Okay. Yeah, and I now have a third question, but we, and I guess this is a good question to ask really at the end of every single one of the points that we're going to discuss, but kind of going back to disparate impact, right? Obviously there's disparate impact, there's disparate treatment, but then there's also the flip side of that, which is overt, right?
Yeah, right.
Impact and treatment. The overt side, that wasn't impacted or changed whatsoever, right?
Yeah, you're right. And, can we sit here and say that there's no credit unions engaged in overt discrimination? No, of course we can't say that, but I think you and I know credit unions well enough to know we don't do business like that, right? I mean,
No,
we're not telling somebody, hey, we don't make loans to your kind, so don't bother applying. So, it's got to stay part of the discussion, yes. But I really think for our purposes, where we need to focus, where we can get the most in trouble, are those two that you outlined, impact and treatment.
Okay. The disparate side, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Okay. All right. So, if I was a credit union and you were on the phone with me or you were meeting with me about this exact topic, and again, this is really that question that really could apply to all three of these. Obviously, two of them are fair lending related, but how does someone stay compliant, stay diligent when right now there's so much uncertainty about disparate impact?
If I were talking to one of my credit union clients, I would say, put all this noise aside, if you will, coming from the executive talking about how, we're going to eliminate disparate impact liability and you're going to be off the hook. Okay, fine. Maybe from a compliance perspective, you are, right? Maybe the CFPB is not going to look at that. Maybe HUD is not going to look at that. But keep doing what you've been doing to ensure that you protect yourself both from a legal and a reputational standpoint.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's again, same thing, really fair lending related. Fair lending is such a broad term.
Yep.
But the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, obviously there's been some movement on that side. Kind of walk us through that.
So here's what's interesting about ECOA. So you probably remember 2010. No, I'm 2010, not that long ago. 2020. 2020. There was a case, CFPB versus Townstone Financial, which is a non-bank mortgage lender based in Chicago.
Is this the radio show?
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's the radio show. Yeah. So CFPB in 2020 comes out and says that this Townstone Financial that's hosting this radio show in Chicago talking about geographically the best areas to buy a house in Chicago, the CFPB asserted, if you will, that some of the commentary made in this radio show had the effect of redlining, or in other words, discouraging African American applicants from applying for real estate loans. And so as this case progressed, it started in, Illinois District Court. Townstone's first argument, or first defense, if you will, was, look, the Equal Credit Opportunity Act doesn't protect prospective applicants. It only protects an applicant once you've put pen to paper or once you've actually borrowed money. Well, the district court surprisingly agreed with Townstone. CFPB rightfully appealed. Seventh Circuit said, you got to be kidding me. That's not what the ECOA says. In fact, if you go into the text of the Equal Credit Opportunity Act and Regulation B specifically, prospective applicants are mentioned 11 times. So I think it's fair to say that the Equal Credit Opportunity Act does protect prospective applicants. So, anyway, Circuit Court overturns the District Court. We've got the change in administration, right? The new CFPB, if you will, under the Trump administration, drops the case. Done. we don't believe in it. We're not gonna prosecute it anymore. They even took it as far as in November of last year, they said, you know what, we're gonna go in and we're gonna play around with some of that wording in Reg B that talks about discouragement. And we're going to say that really, in order for you to bring a cause of action under ECOA from a discrimination perspective, it's got to be premised on overt discrimination, if you will, that specific actions were being taken. So, going back in the context of that Townstone discussion, under this new theory, if you will, they would have to prove that those people that were speaking in the radio program on behalf of Townstone were purposely doing or making those comments in order to, in fact, discourage African Americans from applying for loans. Well, how do you prove what's in somebody's mind? I don't know. I don't know that I know I'm not personally a good enough lawyer to do that, to prove what's in somebody's mind, right? But again, Peter, here's what regardless of what the CFPB does here, let's say that they eliminate or they change this definition of discouragement under Reg B, which basically, similar to what we talked about under fair housing, moves us more towards an overt discrimination or a disparate treatment and moves us away from disparate impact. I return you to our previously litigated conversation where the legal risk and the reputation risk are going nowhere. And, let's talk about that reputation risk for a minute, right? So maybe the CFPB is not going to measure for disparate impact. And let's say, to follow your hypothetical, that another case goes up before SCOTUS and they reverse the 2015 decision and they say, no, we don't legally recognize disparate impact either. Well, neither of those things eliminate reputation risk, right? Mm-hmm. And so here's the other thing that I tell my credit union clients, and I would tell every Acuma member. Do you want to be known on Facebook or X or Insta or whatever the heck else is out there? Do you want to be known as the credit union that treats applicants, prospective applicants, borrowers of a different ethnicity, race, gender differently? I don't think you do.
It's the funny thing. I was just thinking about that, right? Like exactly what you said, right? And I guess that the question I asked earlier, how do you instruct these credit unions maintain the status quo? Don't change anything, right?
Yeah.
But as you were going through this, I was just thinking to myself, from a lending perspective, the 20 plus year lender in me is just thinking, why target or why did the administration pick out this thing, fair lending, fair housing, ECOA, right? The things that really impact these things.
Yeah.
Because as a lender, you have all you have to worry about is the consumer, right? And yes, as far as your clientele, right? And so you said it exactly right. If you start getting this reputation within your communities, and not just credit unions. It can be banks, it can be large banks, community banks, IMBs. But if you start getting this reputation within your community that, hey, you discriminate, you lose a lot of business, right?
Yeah.
So it almost seems like, why pick this out? Because no lender in their right mind, at least in my opinion, is going to follow suit with this. They're still going to play on the conservative route because their livelihoods base off it, right? Lending to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta agree with you. I can't tell you for sure why they picked it out. My hypothesis, if you will, is that it was an overcorrection. They were so upset with Chopra, thinking that the CFPB under Chopra's leadership was beyond out of control, which that's a discussion for another podcast, right? But I think
it's neither here nor there in this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was maybe their gut reaction to, hey, we got to try and peel back some of the quote unquote damage that they feel had previously been done. And let me just make one additional quick point here, going back to you and I talking about why the status quo makes so much sense. Don't forget, at some point in the future, the pendulum will swing back the other direction. We'll have a Democratic president, Democratic administration, and a much more fierce, if you will, CFPB. So why put yourself as a credit union through that back and forth, right?
Right. Okay. So last topic, we're approaching time, but I definitely want to hit this topic.
Yeah.
Because it's I feel like in the past few months, it's been popping up a lot.
Yep.
RESPA.
Yeah. So, nothing really has changed with RESPA. And what we're talking about here specifically is Section 8, right? Which basically says that you cannot exchange anything of value for the referral of settlement service business. Now, the previous CFPB was very active in this space, did a lot of enforcement. When it comes to Section 8, the CFPB under the Trump administration basically has kind of backed off. Well, here's a classic example of, regardless of what your compliance risk is, your legal risk is still there. You've probably heard of this little ma and pa shop called Rocket Companies, right? Rocket Homes.
Really small lender.
Yeah. I mean, they don't do business in too many places. But anyway, they just got hit last month with a class action from a firm, I believe out of Michigan, that has been previously referred to as the most feared plaintiff's firm in the country. And this class action alleges that Rocket Homes Real Estate, that worked with prospective home buyers, essentially steered those prospective buyers to their sister company, Rocket Mortgage, for purposes of obtaining their financing. Well, here's the problem with that, right? Section 8 exists so we don't unnecessarily inflate settlement costs associated with mortgages.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens if there's 20 other lenders out there aside from Rocket Mortgage that can do financing for these prospective home buyers in a lot cheaper fashion, whether that be by interest rate, closing costs, or whatever, but they never even have the opportunity to shop because Rocket's already steered them and said, no, you really got to go with them. Credit unions, look, again, keep doing what you've been doing. Nothing has changed when it comes to Section 8. Put the noise to the side. Stop worrying about the CFPB is not doing this. The CFPB is not doing that. Do business the way you've done it. That, my friends, is the best way to protect yourself.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And really that your last statement is kind of summarizes any type of final question I would have. It's the moral story is, administrations change, regulators change, the lending environment changes, but as long as you maintain the status quo of what you know to be right, you should be fine. So, Michael, thank you very much for walking us through that.
Of course.
But now it's time to start transitioning to the second segment of our podcast. Now, Michael, you've been on the podcast before. And I think last time you were here, we did dad jokes, right?
We did. Yes, dad jokes.
We did. And you, my friend, are the lucky person who gets to do Jeopardy! So as I pull the Jeopardy board onto the screen,
oh boy,
and I'm going to describe it. And on my screen, even though no one else can see it except for Justin, Michael, and I, is your standard Jeopardy board ranging from 1 to 500, except for one category only has 400 for some strange reason. Again, I didn't create these, but the points range again from 100 to 500 with categories that are facts, vocabulary, company pranks, main idea, and history. Now, Michael, your episode just so happens to release around this holiday called April's Fool's Day. So I was like, why not have an April Fool's Jeopardy? Again, I didn't create this. I don't know what it's about, but it's going to be fun all the same. So, Michael, here's what we're going to do. You are team 1, Justin's team 2. You do not have to answer who is, what is, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When you pick a question, it's your question to answer. Now, if Justin feels like stealing, he can say, I want to steal, especially if he knows that your answer is wrong. Now, if he gets his steal wrong, I also deduct points, just so you know. You can pass and I won't take out points, but that's no fun. But anyways, you get it. So, Michael, you are our honored guest. You get to go first. Again, 1 to 500, facts, vocabulary, company pranks, main idea, and history.
Alex, I will take history for 200, please.
History for 200. An early American prank involved the printing of a story in the New York graphic newspaper about this famous inventory stating that he created a machine, inventor, that should be inventor, created a machine that could turn cereal into water. I guess it's asking for the inventor.
Wow. Who is Eli Whitney?
Justin, you want to steal?
No.
All right, the correct answer is, who is Thomas Edison? Okay, sorry, Michael. I'm gonna deduct points.
And we're off and running.
The moral of the story here should be, if I don't know, keep my mouth shut.
Oh no, you still lose points.
No, I'm not. I'm new, nicer Peter. New year, new Peter. Nice Peter doesn't deduct points if you pass.
Yet to see that happen, just so you know.
No, yet to see that happen with you, Justin.
Exactly. See, I'm gonna go with company pranks for 200.
Company pranks 200. Google has played many April Fool's pranks. One year, they said they would strap cameras to the heads of these animals in Australia, so I guess researchers could see beyond the road. Or searchers.
I'm gonna go with, what's a kangaroo?
Okay, the correct answer is What is
Yes.
a kangaroo? Good job, Justin. Good job.
Yeah, that's the only animal I could think of.
Yes, sir. Do you know any other animals in Australia?
A wombat?
Sure. I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, koala, right?
Okay, I could have gone that route too.
All right. All right. Michael.
All right, I got to make up some ground here. Let's do facts for 400.
I think I actually looked at this question earlier. The king, and that's in bunny ears, the king who passed a law calling for absurdity on April 1st in a fake story made up by a professor in Boston to explain April Fool's Day. So what's the name of that king?
Pass.
Wow.
Justin?
No.
All right. The correct answer is, who is King Kugel?
I don't
Who the
even
heck is
know
King
that name.
Kugel?
It's a made up.
He's the
name.
king who passed the law calling for absurdity. I figured
It's a made up name.
Peter, where did you get these?
I Googleized it.
Oh, brother.
All right. I'm going to go with Company Pranks for 300.
Company Pranks 300. As a prank one year, this online company offered instant meals that could be made using a coffee maker.
There's Quaker Oats.
Okay, Quaker Oats. Michael, you want to steal?
I don't think that's right. It says it's an online company. That's wrong.
You already answered it.
I know.
Michael, you want to steal?
But Quaker Oats would have been a good answer.
Correct answer is Think Geek.
That was pretty close.
So close.
I think one bought the other, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Quaker Oats did buy Think Geek.
But I'm just saying Quaker Oats would have been a pretty good ad for that.
Yeah, but Quaker Oats isn't the online company.
It doesn't matter.
It literally asked for what online company.
Okay, so it also asked what animal, and I could have said a crocodile.
You most certainly could have. You could have said emu. I think there are emus in Australia.
I don't know.
All right, Michael.
Let's do main idea for 100.
Main idea for 100. Jesus.
Oh my God.
There are many different kinds of bears in the world. Black bears live in North America. Grizzly bears also live in North America. They are very dangerous. The white polar bear lives in the Arctic. The biggest bear is the Kodiak bear that is found in Alaska. What is the main idea of this text passage? A, bears live in North America. B, bears are dangerous. Or C, there are many kinds of bears.
I feel like I'm sitting for the law school entrance exam again. I'm going to go with C. There are many kinds of bears.
Justin, you want to steal?
No.
The correct answer is there are many kinds of bears. Nicely done, Michael.
Look at me.
Nicely done. All right. Justin.
All right, I'm just going to go with main idea for 300.
Please be this really stupid. Throughout history, there have been celebrations to mark the beginning of this season, many including days of fun and pranks.
Spring.
Gee, spring?
It says season, so spring.
Okay. Michael, do you want to steal?
I don't.
Okay. Correct answer is, what is spring? Look at you, Justin.
Nailed it.
Wow. All right. Well, at the end of however many rounds we've just done, we have Michael with negative 100 and Justin with a positive 200.
Look at that.
All right, let's do one more round and we'll wrap up. Michael.
Let's do vocabulary for 400.
A person whose job was to entertain royalty by dressing up in funny clothes and making everyone laugh.
What is a jester?
Justin with Steele?
No, thank you.
The correct answer is, what is a court jester? You know what? I'm going to take it. You didn't say the word court, but I am going to take it. Nicely done. You're currently in the lead.
Oh, man.
Justin.
We're going to go with main idea for 200.
Main idea 200. April Fools can hopefully cause a lot of laughs. This chemical is a natural painkiller that a body produces when a person laughs a lot.
See? Oh. Why? This is how you know this game is rigged, by the way.
How is it rigged?
No, this is how you know you rigged the games. April's chemicals.
Dude, you were like a medic. You should know this.
Nobody would know this. Chemical. Do you know the answer? It's because
Me?
it's rigged. Yeah.
I think I do.
I don't know.
Michael
Pass.
Steele.
So, if he passes,
And you get it wrong, you lose points.
do I have to answer it?
No, you don't have to answer it.
Okay.
That should be the rule.
So, I'm not going to answer because you're not going to take points away, right? But
Correct.
can I still try and answer after the game's over?
Well, I'm going to show it.
No.
I'm going to show the answer.
Well, can we just say the game's over and I won and then I can take a guess?
No.
All right, Michael, for you, absolutely.
Okay, no. Here, hold on. Oh, I don't have a pen. I was going to write down my answer, but okay. Go ahead.
The correct answer is, what is endorphins?
That's what I knew. That's what it was too.
Good thing you didn't let me answer because that's not what I would have said.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say dopamine.
I was thinking dopamine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
This might be the worst Jeopardy board I've ever seen.
Yeah, but hey, guess what?
No,
You
there was
won.
one that all the answers included the word etc. I got every question right that game.
Hey, maybe I should do Compliance Jeopardy at the workshop in San Diego.
Oh my gosh, how much fun would that be?
That
You
would-
should.
that
And by
would
the
be
way,
pretty-
this website that I use, you can actually build your own Jeopardy boards.
that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome. That'd be awesome.
Did you even do what's that company, Kahoot? You do a Kahoot?
Yeah,
So you
just don't get Nicole Herrick to answer any of the questions.
Yeah. Trust me, she would not be successful.
I think one of my favorite memories is that we were at the Dallas workshop and she was there. I think she had just started with HomeBot. You were presenting, and the level of banter that you had back and forth with her, and you were just making fun of her nonstop about how bad she was at compliance. It was brilliant.
So Nicole and I used to work together many, many years ago, and she gave me a lot of crap for a lot of years. So it's payback time.
Well, Michael, thank you very much. That wraps up this episode's version of Jeopardy. Congratulations on your win with a score of 300 to 200. Well done, my friend. And by the way, thank you for everything that you do for Acuma, our community, our members. You're one of the best out there.
Guys, thank you. That was fun. I always enjoy being with you both, and we'll see you in San Diego.
Well, absolutely. And Justin, thank you.
Of course, it was my pleasure.
Of course. And to close out, thank you again to Rocket Pro for sponsoring today's episode. And to all of you, we know your time is valuable. Thank you for tuning in to the latest episode of Acuma's On Point podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, be well, my friends.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time at the Acuma On Point podcast. If not already, be sure to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. For more great episodes and information, be sure to visit us online at acuma.org, and to get the latest updates, head over to our LinkedIn page.